The funniest thing about this week's episode of the Unwanted Undead Adventure is I honestly think it confirms how, if anything would ever kill Rentt, it's probably Lorraine and her fits of jealousy. And as a number one Lorraine supporter, I think she is a blessing to this anime. She is fantastic. If you actually had someone like her as a partner or romantic interest, nah, don't do it. She would kill you over the slightest of misunderstandings. I have to commend his VA. That panic compliment going, he pulled out every romantic thing in his arsenal out of pure fear. A simple line about how he doesn't really interact with a lot of young girls. She takes it as an insult to her own age. And she's like, hey bitch, I got this attack I want to attempt. And it's debatable on how much he could really take. But the fact that our boy, he saw the white light. He knew his time had come. And if anything's gonna kill him, it won't be a dragon. I mean, technically it's already killed him, but if we're talking about his new body here, if anything's gonna kill that body, it ain't gonna be a dragon, ain't gonna be a big spider monster, an accidental walking off the cliff. It's gonna be Lorraine's fit of jealousy and her being like, oops, I guess I'll stuff him and use him as an ornament. Because that's the type of character we're dealing with. I have a full live reaction to this week's episode over on my Patreon. If you want to see my full uncut thoughts to this or any of the episodes, it's over there if you're interested. I mean, seriously, how does this show get better? Last week was an absolute certified banger, but this episode matches that so well. There is so many little fine-tuned details. It feels like I'm exploring a world like Baldur's Gate. I recently beat Baldur's Gate 3. Fantastic game. Recommended. Go play it. But one of my favorite things about a game like that is not just about going through the story, man. Like, there's a reason I clear all those side quests. Why I interact with everything I know exists. Because hearing about those stories and those little quests and the little things that will open up are the most interesting part of a world like that. And that's basically what this feels like. We get a quest to get a flower for a little girl for like a bronze coin. Like literally nothing for the level of threat that would normally be there for someone. And what we end up doing is we not only save a life, like this woman was ready to die because those pills that were made out of that flower, I assume would have bankrupt that orphanage for eternity. Like I doubt there would have been any way to pay it back because the amount of money it would have took to probably supply that, it basically feels like American healthcare. If you didn't have insurance, like, so many people would just rather die than burden their family with that debt. Because that's just their reality. Like, that's where she was at. Because a man with such a good conscience was able to do something, she gets to live and not break an orphanage's heart. But it gets so much better than that. Those little moments where it feels like these are like the options you would get in a game like a Baldur's Gate or a Mass Effect, you know, like, do you want to do something extra good? He's sitting at the table with, you know, like a doctor and an herbalist and everything like that, and he offers them more, but they're like, we can't afford it, right? Like, as much as we'd want more, we can't afford it. And he's like, I just want to be a good dude. It's good to help people. And because of that, it probably opens up a lot of interesting things for him in the future. Like, you know, they can't pay him or anything, but they offer a favor, like if you ever need anything. And you know that would eventually come back to help him at some point in his story. But I love the idea that when you look at the little girl as an example, she wanted to be an adventurer to help this woman. Because if no one else was going to take it up, she wanted to do it. She would have died, of course, but you understand the path. And he encourages her, if she still wants to be a hero, to, you know, adventure, to go train now. But how would she afford it? Don't worry, I know someone who can help you. But she doesn't want to do it for free. He's like, okay, how about if I give you a loan? Interest free. Rentt is such a good dude and has influenced such a minor supporting character that she's like, no, I will take you up on this, but I'll pay you back with interest. Like, there is something so wholesome about Rentt, which normally a character like him, you'd be probably terrified just given what he technically is. But when you constantly are reminded that his original version of himself was like, despite not being a talented adventurer, he trained all the newbies because he did have so much knowledge, his body just couldn't keep up. There's a reason the guild wanted to basically put him on their council because he is literally the face of, like, righteousness, and these are the types of episodes that prove it. I mean, even if his pet rat is a questionable menace and slob, I mean, the fact that he dressed up, the rat literally makes the army down below to, like, protect the kids. I'm like, it's so adorable. Like, how does this show manage to be so chaotic and adorable? I don't know. But you can look at what we had at the end of last week's episode and what happened at the start. So we have this character, Isaac. I thought he was like the guardian of the flowers. I thought, because Rentt was talking about how like, oh, like I should grab a few extra because, you know, I'm not normally going to be here. I thought this was going to be a dude who was going to quiz him, see if he's worthy. No, he's like, I'm getting this for my sick mistress, basically. And we pretty much are at the point where we kind of have a side job now. Because someone who could willingly go to and from, not really struggle to get there, you know, yeah, we'll pay you a decent amount if you can supply us a constant string of these flowers. And the idea that we pretty much accept it, but now we're at this point where it's a very secretive family. If we can get through this maze that constantly shifts, you can't use the sun as a marker, which is clever because, you know, that's the advice he got. So basically, if you knew the position of the sun, you'd be able to tell, like, okay, you take a note of where the sun is, you know, rises in the east, sets in the west. You can make a compass out of that and know if you're going in the right direction. Can't do that. The maze is constantly changing, prevents robberies, but we'll get a magic item if we can do it. That maze is large and in charge, and Rentt has no damn idea where he's going. It's a really cool point, and I'm actually really interested to see if he can get through that maze right now, or if it's something he's gonna have to drop for now and come back another time. Like, obviously, you know, if he did that, I doubt we would see it this season. It would be more in a season 2 category, but I hope he makes it. But like, either way, an episode like this, the hilariousness of like the building relationship between Lorraine and Rentt. I legitimately think she could accidentally kill this fool out of just pure unfiltered jealousy. But the way that he gives such a heartfelt speech of complimenting her and then just be like, I just kind of felt like saying it, and she's blushing, being like, I'll get you more dinner. The best unofficial couple that I'm so glad I'm not Rentt, because Jesus Christ, you're just walking on a minefield hoping nothing gets set off, and unfortunately for you, you've already set off about 3 of them. You have the amazing content, the almost side quests in a normal video game with all the girl stuff and everything, and then we have the stuff with Isaac. This episode, it felt like me playing a Baldur's Gate, where I just feel like I spent the past 3 hours going through this crazy side quest, and it was so cool. And the best part, that cherry on top, the icing on the cake, that refill on your soda, the magic bag. My boy, because of one single shot, was able to collect a body of something that you normally wouldn't see this good. They had to put gas masks on because of the poison. The little moments. It is so freaking cool. This show legitimately feels more like a video game than a lot of anime that have like video game HUDs and systems at play, outside of like a Shangri-La Frontier, because that's the go to video game anime. And even though it's not necessarily trying to be a video game, a lot of what makes a good RPG is kind of seen in a show like the Unwanted Undead Adventure. One of my like biggest surprises when hyping this show up and claiming that it's like my anime of the season and all that other fun stuff is the number of people who have actually agreed with me. I've said that about so many shows where people just looked at me like I was an idiot, like, you know, something like My Home Hero, which I think is still one of the most criminally underappreciated shows I've seen. I was expecting the same thing with a show like this, but Jesus Christ, man, it reminds me of the first season of The Faraway Paladin, where we just had that buzz. Unfortunately, shows like The Faraway Paladin didn't remain to have that buzz in the West with season 2, despite season 2 being even better. So hopefully if we do get a season 2 of this one, it doesn't suffer the same fate and can keep that level of cult following, because this show is a banger. Let me know what you thought down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we have those full live reactions over on my Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we got Miguel Francis, Dark Lord Dashi, Kim Andre Olsen, Gavin Lee, Dreadseed, and Shadow 868. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.